Hello my friends and welcome to Truth News, the news that matters for truth seekers and gamers who want a world where there isn't any propaganda in their video games. Of course, we have a lot of propaganda and every week seems like there's something new. Last week I told you about Call of Duty Black Ops 6 having a non-binary as the main character. This week a new game released which is called Dragon Age Veilguard, and it has a lot of transgender propaganda in it. It has a lot of bad writing and we will see it right now. So let's get right into the video.
She's still holding the ruby in her other hand. Maker's panties, I was so proud.
Oh,
Ah, shit. They're still holding it. Sorry.
What are you doing?
Pulling a barb.
Oh, okay.
a barv?
Tradition in the Lords of Fortune from one of our old members, Barv. Good guy, but like most of us, his plans went sideways a lot. Bad blood among your crew's not good for morale, but there's not always time for big drawn-out apologies. So when one of us screws up and we know we've screwed up, we do a quick 10 to put it right. Pulling a Barv.
Yeah, so she proceeded to correct herself because she misgendered someone. Not only she corrected herself, but she punished herself with doing push-ups. Is these the games we want to buy nowadays? Seriously?
Oh, there we go.
Oh, and look at these replies. Look at these replies. Why not just apologize? That's very open-minded.
I'm glad the Lords of Fortune have Tarsh's back.
Oh, Tarsh isn't the first non-binary member of the Lords.
Really?
Non-binary. That word should not exist in a medieval fantasy game. None of these modern, stupid words should exist in a place where you want to escape from the real life. In medieval times, they wouldn't talk about non-binary, didn't exist. These kind of words make no sense. And the ways these dialogues are written in this game is like, I don't know, a bunch of Generation Z talking in between their classes or something. It doesn't feel serious. It doesn't feel, it's empty. It lacks life and it's just propaganda. And no one should waste their money on this.
It was a little before your time, but Horlicks was one of ours. Huh. Bastard looked better than I did in a dress or pants. And out of them too.
Any reason you can't just apologize?
Sometimes people say, oops, sorry, and hope that fixes it. But they just want to get the whole thing over with. Trust me, I know.
Oh, you can't just apologize. You have to punish yourself for it too.
But pulling a barv, you sweat a little. Makes you think about it a little more. Shows the other person you mean it.
What if they mean it when they say they're sorry, though?
And that's the other reason. Some people mess up and get all dramatic. They make it about them. Oh, you know, I didn't mean it right. I'd never do that on purpose. They feel so bad about it that it's on everyone else to smooth it over and make them feel better.
Oh, okay, yes, some people might do that.
Pulling a barv puts it on the person who screwed up. They made the mess, they fix it, done.
There's nothing to fix. Screw your genders and stop putting this crap in the video games. Alright, so now let's check what the other YouTubers had to say about all this.
Right, Metacritic scores are absolutely shot, and the game is sitting at a low 3.3 user score rating. Now, we aren't too sure if this is completely review bombed, so I did some digging and went into the reviews myself, and I found something quite interesting. As I went in there, I expected a bunch of zeros non-stop head to toe, but there were also loads of perfect 10 out of 10 scores being botted or review carrying the scores and saying the same thing over and over and over again. Now listen, I'm gonna be honest. Do I think the game deserves a 0? No, I don't think it does, but we all know damn well it does not deserve a 10. If people want to use the argument that the game is getting...
Alright, well, look, this is just a regular guy, you know, he probably doesn't care about all this as much as we do. But, so that's why he doesn't completely want to give a 0 out of 10. When he says that, he probably means that it does have some game mechanics worth exploring, but that are well done. But for me, those game mechanics mean nothing. If I'm gonna be annoyed for the whole game with lectures about feminism, trans rights, gender pronouns, and all kinds of other lectures from the modern world, that shouldn't be in a medieval fantasy game.
So what I wear is a problem for you?
It's not. It's just, why dress like that? You trying to make your mother happy?
Tosh, what's going on? Something is clearly bothering you.
Something my mother said the other day. And I act more like a man than a woman.
And you feel like you should wear dresses to make her happy?
This isn't about the dress, is it?
She always says stuff like that. About how I dress, how I act. It feels right when she says I act more like a man. It feels right.
Tosh, do you like being a woman?
This is stupid. Forget I said anything.
Hey, it's not stupid. I do like being a woman, but if you don't, maybe that's something to think about.
These are the dialogues that we have to tolerate now in video games. Your mother forced you to wear these clothes, and you should embrace being what you think you are. And come on. In a medieval fantasy video game, right? These people who are hired to write this video game, they're obsessed with this stuff, and they want to preach it into everything they make. So the problem is, these companies hire these types of people. It's called DEI hires, diversity, equity and inclusion, I think, or equality and inclusion, something like that. And they're so-called specialists in the topic, and so that they can write characters that are accepted by public. What is the public? Who buys games? Well, people like me and you. So the people like them are in the minority, so why do they care so much about whatever?
Back, they're the ones calling the shots. They're the point guard. I mean, they're the director. They are leading the ship, the art style.
Look at this. This is the director of the game. The creative director of the game. Look at her X profile. Corinne Boucher. Trans woman. Gender pronouns. Of course. It's stupid. Game director of Dragon Age and Dreadwolf. And look at this. What does this mean? Queerosexual gendermancer. Yeah, this is the people we hire as game directors now. Trans rights, Black Lives Matter. Why would you put this in your main profile, short profile description, unless you really care about these topics and you want to push them in anything that you do, including the video game that you do. It's not about creating video games, it's about pushing your opinions into your product. This is silly.
Feel it's their job, and they have the final say in staying true to the franchise. Corinne Bush, Dragon Age Veilguard's director, the person who had all the control, did nothing but fail at creating a game that is even somewhat palatable. BioWare thought they'd hire an individual like this, and they thought they can take advantage of it and make millions, and they were wrong. The director went from there to hire other people of the same ideologies over quality and dedication to the RPG and Dragon Age franchise, and before you know it, most of the team was unqualified and going toward a direction that the game just should not have been going.
Let's go to another video made by Endymion TV. And in this one, this person explains about an insider from BioWare, the game that made Dragon Age Veilguard, who left the company, who exposes how the company transformed, how it used to be normal and how it's now invaded these non-binary and gender pronoun obsessed people.
I spoke to a few BioWare devs. One of them definitely no longer works there anymore, but they had plenty to say, and I wanted to relay this information to you because I want to chronicle how things got this bad. To begin with, I asked this source, when did they start to see BioWare changing from what it was to what it is right now? And I'm told it was exactly when the first Gamergate happened, which was 2014, the same year that Inquisition came out. Of course, Inquisition wasn't really affected that much by Gamergate, as it was mostly done by the time Gamergate actually kicked off. But once this happened, which, if you don't know, the first Gamergate was created by players, due to the ethics of video games and journalism starting to turn against the players. This has, of course, evolved over time into what we now call Gamergate 2, which is still raging on as we speak. But this is when I'm told BioWare really changed their gears into we need to pander harder mode. Originally, as I was told, BioWare wanted to reject what the social justice warriors that were infiltrating these studios wanted to happen. People like Anita Sarkeesian at this time were all of the rage with her feminist frequency nonsense, and demanding that games...
By the way, they not only have the LGBTQ propaganda, but they also have Illuminati symbolism and satanic stuff. As we can see, this Illuminati all seeing eye on this character here. It's probably one of the main coat of arms in the game, I suppose. I didn't play this game, but I can tell already what's going on. So what's happened, you know, before we just had like some Satanism going on in the games, like some occult, you know, regular people don't really care about that, or gamers generally speaking. But now they pushed another note in, which is promoting the degeneracy and all this LGBTQ stuff. And now regular people are kind of waking up to the propaganda, and they're going to push back against it, and people are becoming more conservative and even attracted to God, which is a good thing that comes out of all this. Anyways, let's continue to find out how Dragon Age Veilguard was polluted with these morons.
Adhere to a more pro-woman, anti-man, specifically white male agenda. And like I said, BioWare initially was against this 100%. There were people at the top of BioWare that were referred to as rock stars. These people were each in charge of different departments. They apparently had very big egos and threw their influence around all the time because, you know, they were the top dogs. I was also told the reason why Veilguard's codename was Morrison was because BioWare internally codenames their games based on various famous musicians. I'm going to assume this means Veilguard was named codename Morrison because of Jim Morrison, who is a famous musician, but there are other people with similar last names, but there you go. Now you know why BioWare names their games weird things in codename ways anyways. During Gamergate 2, BioWare, as I'm told, was walking on eggshells the entire time because they were terrified of anything they had in their games that could disrupt or cause the public to not want to support them in the future. Is that they wanted to bring in those weird, woke feminists into BioWare to ensure that the games met their standards and not the demands of actual BioWare female fans. This, as I was told, became the beginning of the end of BioWare, where this rot began to settle in and fester until Veilguard came out today. Following the release of Inquisition and the development of Anthem, I was told there was a mass layoff of core BioWare devs from the company. There was also this practice, as I'm told, where BioWare devs would be mandated to teach their role to that of hand-picked Electronic Arts employees. Then once the EA employee learned and understood the role of the BioWare dev shortly after, EA would actually just fire the dev that taught them and then replace them with their EA yes men and women employees that could then replicate what they could do but were loyal to EA over BioWare. Apparently, it became well known and feared within BioWare at this time that if an EA manager asked you to train a new hire in your position, it meant that you were going to get axed in less than a year for sure. This obviously destroyed morale at BioWare and caused many devs, like I said, to mass exodus their way out of the studio. Some refusing to teach someone what they did and rather just leaving and letting EA kick rocks and, panic instead. As my source told me, what was left of BioWare following the release of Anthem, especially going into Veilguard, was not the BioWare that you knew anymore. But in their own words, it's now a ghost of BioWare, and it's simply Electronic Arts yes men wearing the skin suit of BioWare over them to disguise their true intentions. Besides this, what I was also told is that BioWare has already cut down in terms of size following Veilguard's release. I don't know if it's layoffs or just people leaving after development is done, but yeah, from what I'm told, they're already downsizing the studio. What I'm also told is EA regularly schedules what are called town halls to make developers be subjected to the ramblings of middle-aged woke women about why they must check their privilege and accept DEI into their lives. Basically, these companies are trying to indoctrinate their employees into loyal, woke cultists. Now, in terms of the person who works at BioWare right now, and I really can't tell you who this person is, because if I told you, you would be so surprised. I'm not kidding you. But anyway, they said that current BioWare is more woke than anyone is thinking right now. Like, they're so identity politically driven over there right now, this very instant, that whatever you think it is, it's so much worse than that. Apparently, it's more so about getting more women into these companies than anyone else. Men are pretty much excluded entirely unless they identify as some form of non-whatever and so on. At BioWare anyway, as I was told, they are only interested in hiring people who they can control within the company. They want essentially what can only be considered as cultists that parrot and embrace the ideology that the higher-ups at BioWare demand. BioWare, as we know it, is a corpse being worn by EA yes-men that is filled to the brim with cult-like pandering weirdos. Video games journalism is a thing that we need to keep accountable. Well, yeah, you probably guessed it by now, but the same person that did this on Dragon Age, they made that article at Kotaku as well. This same Laura was also the one who infamously wrote the article about the late Total Biscuit and the Gamergate stuff too. That article, by the way, if you look it up on Kotaku, is now suspiciously gone and no longer exists. I should also state that this Laura, after that Smash Brothers disability slur story that they published, it got so much backlash that they were actually forced by Kotaku to step down and leave the company. They were accused of rage baiting and posting false information to spin a story for the website. You know how bad you gotta be that Kotaku of all places fires you cause you're disingenuous? But that's exactly what happened here. This is who BioWare hired to work on Veilguard, a literal propaganda games journalist with activist-like mentality and all of that. Also, the person who hired Laura, of course, it's this guy they showed in that Dragon Age video from years ago. Everything about this game is just identity woke maxing to the fullest. There's no other way of putting it. It's awful, man, but it needs to be said, because we know these journalists will never tell you what's really happening out of fear of blacklisting or something.
I think this is an excellent video. This is an excellent video because what this guy puts together makes us understand what's going on. The fact that this company used to be in a certain way and then gradually transformed to the point where it started kicking out the old school male workers who were really talented and were the heart and soul of BioWare. And not only they kicked them out, but they got them to teach the new DEI hires, whether females or transgender weirdos or whatever it is they hire, teach them their skills, which is a very important part of their soul, right? Only for them to use these skills to promote propaganda. So it's crazy. And then you get activists like Laura to correct your writing in case you misrepresent the transgenders, a person who has been exposed for lying about everything in the Kotaku articles. If Kotaku got rid of her, or him rather, then we know this person is a horrible choice, because Kotaku is already woke. If the woke hired and then fired that person, then why does Dragon Age Veilguard hire them? Huh? I don't know, maybe these things are directed from the background somewhere, you know? And maybe that's just the way the future is supposed to look. We're supposed to have people who write our entertainment would only brainwash. Doesn't matter that it doesn't make any money. They just want to funnel the propaganda to get the new generation to be like that, to be degenerate. But you know, we the old dogs who have been gaming since the 90s, we're gonna fight against it and we're gonna talk against it. We're tired of this propaganda. You need to learn about it too. And you need to stop playing these games. Find something else. Not all games are bad. There are good ones out there. Like, I think Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is gonna be a good game. So maybe get that one if you want to play a medieval setting game rather than this woke garbage. Alright, the following video is from a game reviewer that I respect. Like, he doesn't make his job from talking against woke stuff or against any propaganda in the games. He's a good reviewer. This is one of the reviewers that I watch. But he is tired of this stuff and he is gonna talk about it. And look at the character he made. Obviously a caricature of the woke culture. So let's check this out.
Media, gaming journalists, politicians, every fucking channel on television, which is why I don't have a license. I don't watch live TV anymore because it's bollocks. Any movie made after 2017 is full of the shit. And you know what? When I play me games, I fucking don't want it. It doesn't fucking belong there. But this game constantly rams it down your fucking throat. And because of that, the game is garbage. It's affected the writing, it's affected the characters, it's affected everything. It's basically destroyed this game as a fantasy role-playing game and turned it into propaganda. That's what it's done. And it's a shame. It's a big, big shame. That's why there's only 70,000 people playing it now at Friday night at 8 o'clock. Peak time on a Friday night. It should be, this is a brand new fantasy role-playing game with good graphics. There should be hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people playing this now, but there's not. There's a crummy 70,000. That's terrible for a game like this. Absolutely garbage. And I'm pissed off because, do you know what? There's a pretty decent game in here somewhere. But unfortunately, I won't be playing it anymore because I can't stand all the bullshit, the narrative, the characters. It's all just awful. The writing is just terrible. The lines these people come out with, are they serious? Just garbage.
Well, wasn't expecting to fight an ogre today. Then again, I also didn't expect to learn that my gods are rampaging around and trying to end the world. Just one of those days.
Everybody's so nice. It's just so fake and false and just destroys the whole genre of a fantasy role-playing game. It's garbage. Pure garbage. So let's get that out the way and let's just talk about what isn't garbage. And
like I said, doesn't matter if it has any kind of good game mechanics, if it's all destroyed by propaganda or by a good gaming channel. And now here's what happened when Asmongold tried to play this game.
Entity options. Oh my, uh-oh, here we go. Take a long, hard look in it, kid. It'll always show the face of a hero who can get it done. Establishes transgender identity and unlocks new dialogue options in future conversations. I love who I am. It feels good to see the real me. Should I do it? I mean, every single option makes me transgender.
What is this? Why are these words in a medieval fantasy game? Establishes transgender identity.
Option makes me transgender. There's no option not to be transgender. It says makes me trans. This one does, and this one. I don't know why I have to be trans, guys. I can't. Guys, I don't know what to do. Forced transgender. This is what Donald Trump was talking about. I'm getting there. It feels good to see the real me.
It took a while for me to figure out why the face staring back from the mirror felt wrong. But once I was able to be honest with myself, it was a relief to figure out I was trans. And it's worth it to look in the mirror today and see the man I am staring back.
Can I do it again?
Oh man. What are we gonna do with these games? They're forcing us to be transgender now. Can't get away from it. But we can get away with it. You don't need to buy this trash. Establish transgender identity in a video game. Never thought I would live this day. Also thought this reaction was interesting. You know, these are people who are kind of shocked by all this propaganda. I'm not that shocked because I saw this coming. This is just a new step in the propaganda and entertainment. Like I said before, they had propaganda even before this. It's just slowly implemented, and now when it gets too crazy, now the regular people are realizing this and they're starting to talk about it. And maybe now's the time to push back against all of it. So let's check this guy's reaction.
One much better. Let's get through some of this.
Pounding that snake's nose, she's still holding the ruby in her other hand. Maker's panties, I was so proud.
Oh,
Ah, shit. They're still holding it. Sorry.
What are you doing?
Pulling a barb.
Oh.
So just so you're aware of what's going on, this character accidentally used she, her pronouns instead of they, them pronouns. Oh my gosh, how embarrassing, how terrible. And now this is a lecture about what you're supposed to do when you misgender someone and how you got to be careful about your apologies. You can't make it all about yourself, but you have to make it feel genuine.
Okay. A barb?
Tradition in the Lords of Fortune from one of our old members, Barv. Good guy, but like most of us, his plans went sideways a lot. Bad blood among your crews, not good for morale, but there's not always time for big drawn-out apologies. So when one of us screws up and we know we've screwed up, we do a quick 10 to put it right. Pulling a barb. Oh, there we go.
I'm glad the Lords of Fortune.
And then this if you missed it, it's like, hey, let me get another dialogue option. That's very open-minded.
I'm glad the Lords of Fortune have Tarsh's back.
Oh, Tarsh isn't the first non-binary member of the Lords.
Really?
It was a little before your time, but Horlicks was one of ours. Huh. Bastard looked better than I did in a dress or pants. And out of them, too.
Why not just apologize?
Any reason you can't just apologize?
Sometimes people say, oops, sorry, and hope that fixes it. But they just want to get the whole thing over with. Trust me, I know. But pulling a barb, you sweat a little. Makes you think about it a little more. Shows the other person you mean it.
What if they mean it when they say they're sorry, though?
And that's the other reason. Some people mess up and get all dramatic. They make it about them. Oh, you know, I didn't mean it right. I'd never do that on purpose. They feel so bad about it that it's on everyone else to smooth it over and make them feel better.
Oh, okay, yes, some people might do that.
Pulling a barb puts it on the person who screwed up. They made the mess, they fix it, done.
This is the most cringe shit I could possibly imagine. You're getting lectured about, one, why not to misgender people, and two, how to apologize the right way when you do misgender someone. And again, this is not this person misgendering your character. It's about one of the characters in the game. You can't get away from this non-binary acceptance storyline. This is baked into the game. This is it, bottom line. And as people have been worried about from the very first reveal of this game, when you started to hear the way some of the writers, the game directors, the people that were involved in this is what people expected. And now this is what we have. Dragon Age the Veilguard officially releases today. I'm sure we'll start to see actual audience scores and audience feedback about the game in general over the next couple days over on places like Metacritic, because as of right now, except for a couple big-time YouTubers that did get reviews for this that were being pretty middle of the road, a lot of it's just mainstream access media. 9 out of 10. It's so incredible. It's so stunning. It's so brave. I guess we'll see how normal people think about it pretty soon. But I have a guess that normal people really aren't going to want to have to sit through a 2-minute lecture about how to apologize when you misgender someone. What a joke.
I mean, I haven't played it. I might, but I won't buy it. I'll just play it to find more stupid scenes so I can sacrifice myself to show you what's going on in that game. If I can get more people to not buy the game, then it's worth the sacrifice. And of course, these people love freedom of speech, you know? They love it. So they make sure to ban other gaming journalists even before they join on their website. I'm talking about the Reddit of this game. So they banned Asmongold even before registering. It's crazy. So let's take a look at this.
Is that the Dragon Age subreddit has banned basically everybody from commenting. Like anybody who comments on my subreddit and then comments on Dragon Age gets automatically banned. Update, I just got auto banned from the Dragon Age sub because I also subscribed to Asmongold. They felt I already violated community rules. Quote, it's not in the rules. My comment was regarding how long it takes to get through Inquisition story. I think BioWare is weaponizing a new sector of marketing to control the narrative on all fronts. Well, if they're trying to control the narrative, they're doing a really, really bad job. Just tested it and got banned for this GIF. I wonder if... Okay, so what if I... It's my first Dragon Age game, and I'm curious to see what all the hype is about. Okay. What? Post is waiting approval? Am I pre-banned? Am I pre-banned? Are they in the room with us right now? Are they watching the stream? No fucking shot. Are you kidding me? Did I get banned? I can't post. I actually cannot post anymore. Within less than 1 minute, my post, I'm excited for Dragon Age. Stop right there, criminal scum. Hello, you've been permanently banned from participating in Dragon Age because you broke this community's rules due to too many repeated infractions of our civility and bigotry rules from users of this community. Asmongold, we have decided to automatically revoke access to our subreddit as a preventative measure so that our community at large can focus on actual criticisms of the game without getting involved in the war against woke culture. I have been permanently banned. Based, banned, bald. But no, what I typed is that I was excited. I'm really excited for Dragon Age Veilguard. I can't wait to play it. I feel like this is racism because like all of the people in my subreddit, oh wow, you know, are they saying that we're some kind of like an inferior culture? I don't know what the fuck is this. This sounds really, really wrong. This is awful. Here we go again. Yeah, what a bad generalization.
There it goes. Like we're living some Chinese stuff, or there's a pre-crime. No, pre-crime. If you've seen that movie, it's an old film where people get arrested before they even commit any crime. And what they're just, they want to eliminate talk about the woke stuff. But why? Because that's what people don't like. They don't like this in their video games. So why are they not allowed to criticize the game because of that? Maybe you could understand it in the case that it was a video game that didn't have any of this stuff and then people complaining about woke stuff when there wasn't any woke stuff in that particular game. But in this game, it's full of woke stuff. So it makes no sense to ban people who criticize it unless you're part of the propaganda system. And that's the thing. In Reddit, it's all part of the propaganda. I wouldn't even waste my time in there. I wanted to show you another video, but it's been banned from YouTube. Already banned. Hope my video doesn't get banned. Although I'm sure at some point in the future, with how things are going, we're all gonna get eliminated from YouTube who think against propaganda. Unless we try to do a pushback as soon as possible. Somehow. I don't know. Something needs to happen. I guess it helps when someone like Elon Musk buys X, for example, and now you're no longer censored there. You can type whatever you want. However, I don't trust him on the other side with putting stuff in humans' brains. Putting, you know, merging the human with the machine. That's where my conflict with him stands. But if him or someone like him would buy YouTube and the other town squares of the internet, make them more free, then the world will return to normal again. Oh my god. I can't even look at this. Look, these are the people that video game companies hire now as consultants to help with the writing and the design of the characters. This is who they hire. So this is an interview with that Laura person that is responsible for some of the bad writing, trans activist writing in Dragon Age Veilguard. Now, it's hard to listen to these people talk, but we gotta understand who our enemy is, really.
Track record when it comes to women, queer people, trans.
Is a trans person talking? Look.
Lightly has not always had the greatest track record when it comes to women, queer people, trans people.
I'm not even what she says, like the way he talks, because this is a man. This is this man's opinion about how a woman talks like. So like he's pretending to be a woman. So the only way he can be more feminine is by making that stupid accent. Like I didn't hear, like of all the accents he could pick from women talking, he picked this one. Like, come on. This is what you imagine that women are. Anyway.
People of color, basically insert any and all minority and marginalized identities. So I'm wondering, like, how have your experiences been, and if you could speak a little more, being like a queer trans woman in a typically like male-dominated cishet profession. At least that's what we often see.
Male-dominated cishet profession. This is how these people label us. Well, what's wrong with look, what's wrong with that anyway? Like we made these games like for us, for the guys. Like I don't see any problem with that, and we sold to the guys. I mean, I'm not a game developer, but I'm just talking as a guy who plays games. Like, yeah, the games were made mostly for dudes, and they sold very well. Like, what's wrong in a free society? Like, you can do what you want, just like how you make like a woman have, you know, they buy makeup or something, they buy stuff that they're passionate about. We were passionate about games where you kill a bunch of pixels on a screen, and we didn't want any of this trans rights stuff going on in the games, you know? And now what do? They hire these people to lecture us. Like, they infiltrated our territory. Do you understand? It's like, do they even understand? Like, okay, you're free to make your own game. Make your own game about your bullshit and sell it to the people who like to hear you. Sell it to the people who like to hear that stuff. But don't infiltrate all the companies that are successful for selling stuff to people like me and then change them and put all these trans rights and forcing people like me to think like you, because that's never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen.
I think things are infinitely better today than they used to be. When I first started writing about video games as a career, I could count the number of trans women or trans people generally in the games industry who I knew about on one hand, and still probably count them each of those people a second time on that one hand and still be fine. There really wasn't a lot of people to look to for solidarity, or people to look to for examples of what to expect. I knew the industry was going to be a little bit harsh. I knew it was a bit of a traditional boys' club. I knew that there was not a lot of openly visible queer, particularly trans representation at the time, and the way I sort of thought about things was I was very aware from friends I had who'd come out as queer in various ways online around the time I was coming out that...
Get to the point. I don't have time to listen to you talk for so much time. But basically, this guy who wants to be a woman says that you could barely count trans people in the industry on one hand, and now you can't count them because there are so many. And yes, but how is that a positive thing? The fact that companies are literally forced to hire these people, that's not a good thing. It's a brainwash. It's a brainwash cult. You know, wouldn't you rather have people just hired for their talent and not care about any of that stuff? But no, what does BioWare do? Well, they kick out of the company the talented people, and also before they kick them, they get to train a transgender person on how to program the game. That's evil, man. That's evil. That's destroying people's lives.
Right now, for trans people generally, societally, I think that the video game industry has really come a long way, and I think that some of the worst years the video game industry had in terms of like peak poor treatment of women and queer people in the industry during times like Gamergate, I think did open a lot of eyes to a lot of like cis straight white men in the industry of there are a lot of people being treated pretty badly and we probably need to get our act together and pay attention to it. And it does feel like things are a lot better today.
I don't understand why these owners of those companies trusted these people to take over the game. Well, they'll see when they get bankrupt. Get woke, go broke. Because it's unreasonable. First you think it's a good thing that, yeah, you're shedding the light on the suffering of other people, but it goes way beyond that, to the point where the game just becomes a lecturing session, and it just forces us to not misgender people and use pronouns ourselves and to punish ourselves if we don't do that. No. And if you've seen yourself, it forces you to be transgender in some parts of the game. There's just no way to avoid these woke lines. It's supposed to be a role-playing game. You should be able to say to that person, I don't want your dumb crap, and I will now kill you. And that's it. You kill that NPC and it's done. But no, you can't do that, because you're supposed to follow the propaganda in this role-playing game where you can only say yes, yes please, or I agree, or that's very open-minded. Ridiculous.
Largely, those projects have been games where usually people who are not personally involved in a background of a character they are writing typically a cis-straight white man writer on a project wants to have, say, a queer or trans character or an autistic character or whatever, background of character, and usually will have already written, at the very least, an outline of where a story's going, and will go, here's what I've got right now. Is there anything that's raising red flags? Is there anything that I could add that would improve this story, or anything that is a little too specific or not sort of generally applicable enough? And I will go through and try and sort of shepherd what is working, what is not, and help point characters in directions that might work a little better. Both of those roles are basically just doing what I can to take work that has already begun on projects and trying to help point it in a good direction.
So there you go. She just explained. Oh my god, falling into the propaganda. So he just explains what he does with these companies and how these companies, it's not just his fault, but the companies already want to have gay and trans characters, but they just get him as the specialist transgender who will tailor the transgender experience in the game, which is terrible. People are sick of it. They are reacting to it, and we should continue to react to it and expose the propaganda in video games. And of course they don't like it when we react, and they say that we are toxic. The gaming community is toxic, and they are to blame. And they keep pushing this thing where they seem morally superior and we are bad. So the Call of Duty non-binary character, it's not just a character, apparently it's a non-binary in real life. Non-binary actor and model has confronted a transphobic backlash to their inclusion in Call of Duty Black Ops 6. People aren't buying the new Call of Duty video game because of a non-binary character. Well, hi, that's me, he says. Everyone who's saying they won't buy the game because of this character, ask everyone, why is inclusion so threatening to you? Well, because it's destroying our stories and the things that we like. We like to be badass males with guns in the game. Not in all games, but in those particular games like Call of Duty Black Ops. It's a dude game. I will not complain if you release your own stupid game with your morals and the way you view life. Just release it to your 5 people who will buy the game. But don't infiltrate with your dumb ideologies a game that's already famous, just so you can then complain about our reaction to you being in that. Because you're completely out of place. You know, you are completely out of place in a game like Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Just realize that, respect it, do your own intellectual property. We all know the Call of Duty fan base. I was prepared for some hate. What I wasn't prepared for was the level of ableism, misogyny, sexism, and queerphobia. It's not queerphobia. No one is afraid of you. It's just you're out of place. You need to realize that and do other things. This is why representation matters. It isn't about a game, it's about being seen and heard. Queer players have always been here. Why shouldn't we be seen in the games we love? Because you're not the majority. Majority of people are normal. The other stuff is like an anomaly. So we can't promote the anomaly as the main thing. And people, if they were part of those categories, they played the game because they liked the game the way it was. If they didn't like the game, they wouldn't play it, so you don't need to change it. We're here making history and we're not going anywhere. Well, good luck. Good luck with your army of haters, because you are the haters of something which was culturally a guys club. I mean, you're welcome to play it, but it's our thing. And if you want to make something different, don't need to infiltrate this. Just make something else. and see how that works out for you and for your community. And we are free to have our opinions about you being a degenerate culture. You know, why can't we say that? If you can say that we are all these things you call us, well, we should be allowed to say what we think of you. And I think your culture is an anomaly. And you should stop promoting anomalies as normal. Because they aren't. Now, does that mean we need to hate the LGBTQ people? Not really. As a Christian, we're supposed to love everyone, but that doesn't mean we need to accept their sin. It's like you have a, let's say you have a brother and he gets drunk. You know, you're still gonna love your brother, but he's drunk. So you're gonna try and take him after alcohol. It's the same thing with these people. Ultimately, only God can help them. And the calling to change has to come from within. But we shouldn't allow them to infiltrate the things we like with their ideology. It's our stuff. They should understand that, and they should do other things. And I don't even like Call of Duty that much. I'm more into strategy games. But I'm speaking as part of the community of male gamers. And I understand why people are reacting like this. And, you know, these weirdos should understand too, or should try to understand. They claim to be about understanding and inclusion. It's all part of this culture. Like, okay, look, we had plenty of woke games this year and kind of tired of it. You know, what is it with these characters? You can't relate to them, you know, as the main audience that buys games. The guys, we can't relate to these weird characters. They're just doing a bunch of dumb shit no one cares about. It's just a bunch of generations. Like, look at this. Like, is this really the characters you want to play with? You know, they look like a bunch of Reddit moderators. No one wants to play this trash. Dustborn. Then we got the Concord. The Concord nonsense. No one wants to play that either. Bunch of woke-ass characters. Then we got Star Wars Outlaws, which also released this year. It's just with this woman who it's not attractive at all. But no, that wouldn't be a point. You know, that wouldn't normally a point. But we know why the woke team doesn't want to have attractive women in the game. It's because there's this new type of thinking mindset in the feminist world, where a woman that looks good and has a good body and a good face doesn't represent most women, which they believe that they're ugly because these people are ugly. And so you gotta represent the ugly woman. You gotta put them as the main character because it's the right thing to do. Well, I think there's plenty of beautiful women out there. Like, they're real. It's like they think that a beautiful woman is put there because of a male fantasy, and that they're not actually real. Well, I'm telling you, beautiful women are real. And we as a society, we like to see beautiful people being the heroes. We don't want to see some woke-ass ugly characters, okay? So you'll see a bunch of characters with no ass. You know, females have no ass. They also limit the size of the breasts. They always make small breasts. Because people who have this mindset think that a woman with big breasts are going to offend regular women which don't have that big breasts. You know, men like all kinds of breasts. So why are you not allowed to show them? All of them. In Dragon Age Veilguard, for example, in the character creator, you can only have very small breasts and that's it. Look at that face, look at that hair, come on. Look, I don't like to criticize the ways female look, I'm only doing this because of these retards who don't want good looking, like, we have the technology. We can make beautiful women in games, and there are beautiful actors, and we can put them in movies, and, you know, but these feminists don't allow us to do that to its fullest. And that, really, you know, as the main audience who buys games, do we really want to buy a game with this woman protagonist and this little pet? You know, this is like a little stupid pet she goes around with that's cute, supposedly cute, and doing like cute little quirky jokes and cute, like everything is cute, and I just don't like that. It's stupid. Star Wars should be an epic adventure, and this particular main character doesn't feel like Star Wars at all. And the fighting is lame, and the game is full of bugs. The fighting is just her sending her pet to distract someone, and then she throws like some stupid sucker punch, like, you know, like, it's stupid. How can I take that seriously? So I'm never gonna play this. Not gonna play this. Stunning. Of course, the regular gaming journalists say that it's a great game. The community of real gamers, however, have spoken, and it's not a great game. Moreover, Star Wars unveils first look of its first trans woman stormtrooper called Sister, with armor in the color of the transgender flag. Wow. Yeah, shows more of what these people want. Proves our point every day. Gender cult worship. Definitely. I remember when Star Wars used to be about space wizards, epic adventures, and lightsaber combat. Now, it's this. Exactly what I'm feeling. Horrible. Let's also have Joker 2 in the cinemas. Another pile of trash. I just watched this with my friends, thinking it's gonna be a cool... Well, not really, because since it was announced to be a musical, we knew it was gonna be weird. But it turned out to be very, very weird. Whoever wrote this, like, it's not like the first Joker. The first Joker was kind of a masterpiece in 2019. This one makes no sense. Maybe it's supposed to make no sense because it's the Joker, but it's objectively makes no sense. Like, okay, there's some good cinematography, like, look at these colors. It's all good, right? The props look nice. So the team who was responsible for colors and props, they were 10 out of 10. But the rest was garbage. The script was right, the writing was bad. Not in all sections, but a lot of the times just ruined by the parts where it's bad. Everything is awkward. We have like a singing that's done with auto-tune. You can really tell when the singing is bad. The timbre, the voice of this guy, Phoenix, the actor, is bad. It's a bad timbre. And on top of that, even if you add the auto-tune to make him sing in tune, you know, because it's probably off tune all the time, and someone in the studio has to lift up those notes he's playing with his voice, and so everything ends up sounding a bit straight on the words. You can tell it's like a robot singing. But it's not even that, like, it's not pleasant to just listen to his voice sing at all. And then you have Lady Gaga, which is the satanic woman from the music industry. And, you know, like, to me, she doesn't look good. I don't know why the industry tries to make her seem hot. She's not hot. And then you get these weird scenes with them, you know, kissing and even having sex. Like, it's a very awkward scene when they do have sex. That's the last thing I want to see. You know, Lady Gaga. Just because what she represents. She's done all this satanic witchcraft in her videos and performances throughout the years. Of course they're gonna put her in movies now. And this movie is just garbage. And who knows, maybe it's because of the AI hires again. I don't know. I haven't seen like them talking about transgenders or anything like that. But the movie is weird. Feels like modern art gone bad. It's just there's nothing that feels fun, that feels like the Joker in a Batman film. And they get the aesthetics wrong too. Like they try to make this whole thing with singing, but all the singing is done in the 50s kind of thing, 50s aesthetic, and early 60s maybe. But the action is supposed to take place in the 80s. Why not make a musical based in 80s sounds? The first movie really made you believe like you were in the 80s America. This one makes you believe like you're in the 50s. So, you know, there's an inconsistency there. It all just feels out of place. I don't know what's going on with today's movies and games. Again, they're not all bad. But I'm just here to tell you that things are bad. To try and avoid them, if possible. You'll get some scenes in your brain that you're not going to be able to unsee. You really want to keep that in your memories for the rest of your life. I would skip it if I was you. The only reason why I accept to have this memory is because I think it's for a higher cause. I'm out here pointing out the trash so that multiple people don't watch it and don't buy those games. I think it's worth it. And in the past I didn't used to say that, so I would talk about occult symbolism in Skyrim, for example. But I wouldn't say don't buy the game. I would say, yeah, enjoy the game because it's still a good game. But just be aware of the satanic propaganda. But with these new things, it's like you can't enjoy them because they suck. So just avoid them. Avoid them altogether. And of course, if you're still doubting that they're Satanists, well, just look at the Olympics this year and how they had a bunch of transgenders and like bull gods on stage and horsemen of the apocalypse and all that stuff. And guess what? In France, again, you'll have in Toulouse a festival, a spectacle of machines, which of course has to be about satanic creatures from hell. So look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Straight from hell. Circles of fire. Sigils. It's all like a cult. It's all... What? They're burning what? They're burning a box. I don't know. But look at here. And within the circle you got a pentagram right here. So... Witchcraft in front of people's eyes. But no, you're not allowed to pray, you know, as the Christian, you know, on the sidewalk next to an abortion clinic. You're not allowed to do that. They're going to remove you. But if someone does a satanic ritual on the streets that, you know, could offend Christians, no, that's allowed. That's fine. There we go. There he is. There we go. The Baphomet. Oh, it's so great, so wonderful, oh. Spectacle of machines. You know, why can't we also have angels defeating these demons in this type of shows? You know? Why does it have to be just worshipping demons. So it's not just a spectacle of machine, it's a satanic spectacle of machines from hell. It's so open-minded. That'll be the dialogue option for this. This is so open-minded. Oh, having so much fun. TheVigilantCitizen.com does a great job of analyzing the satanic nature of this festival. This is the poster of the festival with the bull god. There was some backlash, of course. Archbishop of Toulouse. Dark clouds are gathering over our world. Darkness and gloom are becoming a trend everywhere and even perniciously take root in our daily lives, in our reading, art and music to the point of becoming normality. This is an interesting point. Some people enjoy watching horror films, but you have to pay to see them. If we don't feel like watching all this, we'll just have to hole up at home for 3 days. The sheer size of the structures makes it hard to escape this sad spectacle. The characters are troubling to Christians because Lilith is a female demon evoked in the Bible. The Minotaur is a not very pleasant character who feasts on human flesh, and no one likes spiders. People should find a way to unite around love rather than fear. Protestant representatives said, "We love Toulouse for its history, its culture, and its dynamism. Toulouse is life, joy, and beauty. However, church representatives are shocked and alarmed by the choice of theme for this act, which presents Toulouse as the gateway to darkness." And they literally opened the gates of hell on them after already doing that with the Olympic ceremony in Paris. France is doomed. Well, these people would have us believe. Of course, there are great people still living there who are against all this stuff, but they don't appear on the first stage because all the satanic and LGBTQ propaganda has to appear first on the screen. So if we do all these kinds of things, like eventually it's gonna roll back at us with floods, with terrible nature events. We go far away from God, and then, you know, stuff like this might happen. So we have big floods in Spain right now. I'm not saying it's because of this, but we should be careful. Like, this could actually be a weapon. This could be a weapon attack on Valencia, because we have weapons to modify the weather. And stuff like this is possible to create by us.
Dry and arid climate that averages only 17 inches of rain per year. But on October 29th, over 13 inches of rain fell in just 4 hours. This was caused by a stalled upper-level low-pressure system over the Strait of Gibraltar, which caused downpours across south and eastern portions of Spain. This was also accompanied by rare, giant hail, the size of baseballs in some cases. So far, over 150 people have died from the natural disaster, and it's the worst in the country's modern era. I have family in southern Spain, and we kept getting emergency alerts from all of them with all of this rain. Luckily, they're all okay, but this is a terrible day for the country in whole.
You know, if we prayed more, maybe these things would happen less. I'm just saying. This is the Spanish king being harassed by the people who are very, very angry. You arrived 4 days too late. 4 days. Too late. Yep. Here you go, Prime Minister getting attacked. Flooding has killed Over 200 people. No wonder people are outraged. Look at that. The cars are literally boats. They're sailing away. And trucks were overturned. Nursing homes with water in them. I mean, the authorities did try to do whatever was possible, you know. Those people who are outraged. I mean, it happens. When you see so much destruction around you, you're gonna go a bit crazy, you know. I'm sure the place will be rebuilt and it's gonna be fine. It's Spain we're talking about here. They have resources, they have everything they need. And they have a lot of people. Oh, look at that. Look at that bridge going down. Like paper. It can't... The forces of nature. Can't mess with the forces of nature. We don't know if it's actual forces of nature or a weapon or the actual... Like, there could be other reasons for this. I'm not a specialist. Maybe you could, if you know some reasons as to why Valencia would be attacked, share them in the comments. But yeah, this is a special flood. It's a flood like no other in a very long time. In the middle of the city, guys. This city has over 1 million people living in it. Look at it. Look at it. It just looks like a map from a post-apocalyptic video game. That's what it looks like. Look at that. This is it straight out of Fallout. Fallout 4. I guess Fallout 5 will happen in Spain. Valencia. This is a respectable city in Spain. Look at these cars piled up on the train tracks. Look at this. It's a scrapyard of cars. It's like a scrapyard of cars. It's terrible. So people are dying in floods. They're dying in war. They're dying of COVID vaccinations. They're dying on all kinds of front lines of different types. We are under attack. But we shouldn't live in fear. Even if the end is to come, we have to keep God in our hearts and not lose hope. Just keep pushing, you know, what we believe, with how we think, until we die. And our pay will be good in heaven. If we keep our hope in God, and if we live a life in the principles that God set out for us. Now, of course, in the same spirit, hundreds of thousands of people volunteered to help with the floods. They are queuing up to help the situations with the flood. Okay, all those people volunteering. Look at that queue. This shows the spirit of the people who want to do good. And that's what we gotta do. Even if we go through troubles, we have to do what's possible to be on the right track. So I would say pray for those people, or the people victims of the flood in Spain. Some of my Romanians died there too. This could be something horrific, like a conspiracy such as destroying all the buildings so that new companies with residential projects can come in and say, hey, look, you can get into these new apartments, and you know those companies are gonna make their money, and it's all good. This is horrible. Going to America, something very fascinating happened. This is from the 1st of November, where the results of the vote appeared on television during like a F1. During F1, you see Harris Trump 52% Harris, and it's very strange. It shows how the Matrix glitched again, you know, because this, even though I think they said it's because they were rehearsing. They said we're just rehearsing what we're gonna do on the day. Yeah, but it wouldn't happen on live TV. The testing, you wouldn't test this on live TV. You would test it offline, and then you would do it online on the day. Goes to show, these people already are testing on the Harris win. That's what they're testing. It's very strange. How do they have access to who voted what already? This is very strange to me. And I think it's strange for the people living in America too. One thing is for sure, if Harris does win, that means it's the current administration winning. And what is the current administration doing? Promoting war in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia, continuously arming Ukraine and escalating things to a World War III, with also the conflicts going on in Israel and Iran and all those Muslim countries. The Russians are capturing more and more territory every day at a high pace. You can check it out on the live map, on the live UAmap.com is the situation on the 4th of November. And you know, the West says Russia attacks with shovels, when in fact Russia has a lot of power, a lot of shells, a lot of planes, a lot of artillery, a lot of North Koreans now. So I'd say it's time to negotiate and surrender, because this is stupid. And if NATO, let's say, starts pushing, like Poland has said that they're going to send troops to protect Western Ukraine, and other countries will, and then, you know, they're going to have a clash when the Russians reach that area, and then that clash is going to get NATO to say, oh, well, then it's time to fight Russia for real, if they're not willing to stop this, you know, because that's the facade that they embraced. The facade that Russia is evil and it attacks the rest of the world, and so we gotta stand our ground against their invasion. When in fact we kind of know that NATO provoked Russia going crazy by putting a bunch of bases and laboratories in Ukraine, like right next to the Russian border, even though they said they wouldn't in the 90s. So this provoked the Russians. Russians and NATO are both to blame for killing 500,000 plus Ukrainians and Russians, and this is terrible. Maybe it's deeper than this. Maybe there's a conspiracy behind all this, and it's supposed to happen this way because they want to sacrifice a bunch more, a lot of men from the population, like they did in the Second World War, the First World War, and civil wars and other wars. So, you know, it's all kind of planned, like it's predictable. It's predictable, the escalation and the fact that they want a World War III. So maybe even the way Putin acts is part of a plan. It's part of that Hegelian dialectic that the Masons like to play on the chessboard. You know, the two opposing sides, which create some type of chaos from which order comes, where, well, their order, the elite's order, and not something that benefits us. We are just cannon fodder and we're gonna get sacrificed. So we should pressure these people in so-called power to immediately stop this war and not buy into this, oh, Russia bad, we need to be against them. As Western people and also the Russian people should not buy into the fact that all West is bad, when in fact we're both being played by our leaders and systems. And something else we gotta worry about is AI, because recently an important guy who worked at OpenAI has quit, saying the company isn't ready for what it's building. So we're talking about some Skynet type AI that can make problems in the society. OpenAI's researcher in charge of making sure the company is prepared for the advent of artificial general intelligence has resigned, and is warning that nobody is ready for what's coming next. So this was the guy who was supposed to make sure that the AI is safe. Well, guess what? He's saying it's not safe, and he just resigned. I decided that I want to impact and influence AI's development from outside the industry rather than inside. In short, neither OpenAI nor any other frontier lab is ready, and the world is also not ready. It ends with AI that can do the work of an organization, so that they're gonna replace everyone in a company because the AI can do it. Something like that. And this guy feels morally responsible, so he wants to get out of it. The world at large remains unprepared for the next generation AI systems being built. Yeah, because the companies will just take the easy way out, and it will buy these AIs to do people's jobs because it saves them money, and profits are important for the company, and they're soulless. Well, not all companies, but a lot of them are like that. And then what happens? What happens when everyone replaces everyone with AI? First of all, a lot of poor people can't afford to live because there are no jobs. But also imagine if AI takes over something like a nuclear power plant or the military industrial complex, something like nukes. Well, then Skynet can really happen. What was, foreseen in scripts from the Terminator can become a reality. And so that's why this guy resigned. Very interesting. You can also read this article from futurism.com. So I guess this concludes our episode of Truth News. So I guess this concludes our episode of Truth News. I hope you found the information useful. Peers were getting attacked, and they want to program us through the entertainment that we consume. The floods are getting us, the wars are getting us, and the AI is out to get us. But don't lose hope in this. Keep optimistic in your own life. Try to make the best out of it. God will take care of you. And don't worry. This world is just a test for us, and the true rewards are on the other side. That doesn't mean we need to ignore everything that happens here. Of course, we need to talk about it, and we need to try to make this a better place that's in line with our principles. Sometimes things are out of our control, and that's hard to deal with. Let's try and make the best we can. And, embrace God, take care of your loved ones, and try to avoid the propaganda, the lies, and stay in truth. And that's why I've made Truth News, to help us all understand how the world is going and operating. If you have subjects that you want me to talk about in Truth News, feel free to suggest in the comments, and you can also join Discord, where we can all participate in discussion. I thank you for watching this video. I know it's a lot of time spent. I appreciate your time if you have chosen to watch this to the end. And if you like the channel and want it to succeed, You can like the video, drop a comment. You can support me through the ways described in the description of this video. That's all I have for this video, and I will see you in the next video. This is Vostovlad signing out.